Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to the show. It's Movie Wire time. Oh, the Movie Wire. Bring the firing squad. Bill, Justin. Give the finger or laugh or smile. It's time to find out. No more waiting. So here we go. The Sultan of Cinema. The gumshoe of review. Here is Justin Henson. Let's start the show. Let's go.
welcome to the Movie Wire.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Movie Wire. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. We've got a big show this week with 4 brand new reviews, with 3 playing in theaters and 1 that will be part of our Movie Wire catch-up. This week on the show, this is the way, or is it? In another Star Wars story comes the Mandalorian and Grogu. 130 million people take road trips every year. 15,400 of them are never seen again in passenger. It's like community service, and I love boosters. And finally, we dive into our Movie Wire catch-up segment where she came for the pasta and got lost in the sauce in You, Me, and Tuscany. We got a lot to cover this week, so let's jump right in. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it.
Out of the windows to watch a roar and a bursting of flame. The Movie Wire podcast. You need people like me.
The Wire.
And here we go.
A group of shoplifters take aim at a cutthroat fashion maven by stealing her clothes and reselling them at a lower price in what they call fashion forward philanthropy in Riley's I Love Boosters.
Booster is a person who jacks from the retail and sells it in the hood for dirt cheap resale.
You know the egregious theft that's been happening at my stores. The boosters take my clothes because they're low-class urban bitches.
Christy Smith knows we exist. I call it Triple F, Fashion Forward Philanthropy. I know how to spell philanthropy. Branding, though.
For that, you're a raw ass, make it happen, hustler.
Give it to me. It's mine anyway.
In fashion, humanity is our canvas. But the Velvet Gang is reducing our margins. I can bob and weave.
Christy Smith stole my design.
What?
If she stole your design, we gotta get it back for that. I have a plan. Together, we empty out every single Metro designer in the Bay Area.
We gotta take what's ours.
We should coordinate.
Well, what are we waiting for?
They're taking everything.
Not even that yellow in here anymore.
You okay?
It's time to get loose! It's time to get loose!
You boosters just take.
Like you. We follow this plan to precision.
Their wig game is crazy.
Damn.
I'm gonna need you to trust me. We have to make her cry. 3, 2, 1. Oh, come on. Let's take all of it. Grab them wigs.
It's time to get loose!
Boots Riley's Boosters is a test of patience. We can almost feel his passion of frustration of the system as he was typing this screenplay and realizing his rant to get his message across needed some random insertions of humor and insertions of bizarre twists that never really make sense at first viewing, but in the moment makes us do a mental reset after we think to ourselves, what the fuck did I just see? I Love Boosters is an endurance test, a test of patience, like listening to an over-explained opinion that could have been wrapped up in just a mere couple of minutes or even a couple of sentences. This film is like taking Boot Riley's 2018 Sorry to Bother You and add in a dash of Dude, Where's My Car to help portray a message. The message here surrounds rich versus poor, working for little pay versus the big wigs getting the main cut, following the system of what one would deem normality as we are trained to do. And of course, at a simplistic level, money and power buys everything and little people don't matter. But with how much sporadic randomness this movie inserts, it almost takes away from the message it tries to accomplish, because we are so mentally busy trying to find meaning into random symbolic jokes that the movie is just skating by. This is a movie that plays against the audience and its own message, where we have this movie made by studios that we can do what we want, and we will spend the last 10 minutes explaining why this movie has meaning. Now, I can explain this movie that a lot of us can relate to. Ever been required to go to an hour-plus long meeting or training and walk out to say, this could have been a fucking email? That's I Love Boosters. Now, I Love Boosters follows a group of shoplifters with a focal focus on Corvette, played by Keke Palmer in a fantastic performance, where we get hints and nods that she loves fashion and desires more, that we kind of ignore in the back half of the movie. And the movie does give some good examples of urban life where the cards are not dealt in their favor, including Corvette. And that is the main problem with the movie, is that we have all these characters, we have all these conflicts, but there's never really a resolve. It just leads into situational randomness. With Corvette, we get a visual of a random giant ball rolling in her path with notes and words like eviction written on it coming right at her to symbolize the weight of the world of struggle, which helps support the reasons, if you will, that this group does what they do, which is shoplift from designer clothing shops led by designer Christy Smith, played by Demi Moore, in which her clothes are made in a factory that is making people sick. And I will leave the breakdown of all the other randomness that kind of goes in to support this messaging, or attempt to at least, of skinless people, teleporters, deconstructors, diagonal upwards offices, futuristic police cars, holding your breath to make you look white, and pussy-eating demons out of the review, because the movie gives a lot to cover and digest. And I am tempted to give a special episode about the pussy-eating demon and the skinless people, but anyway, the group of boosters crescendo their boosting with grown hate of Christy Smith and become more motivated on taking her down than making money, with the help of factory worker Shade, played by Naomi Aki, that arrives in the story via teleporter. Yeah, teleporter. You know, I'm not going to get into it. It's hard enough to analyze the movie than explain every symbolic thing that Raleigh is trying to say, and I try to keep this under 10 minutes for each review, which goes into the movie is long-winded, and Boots Riley has a lot to say, and it's like watching some messy thoughts on screen. But Riley does have some memorable moments here. The what-the-fuck moments of humor are enough to keep the movie at top of mind, and shake our heads and smile at the complete randomness out of left field. There are nods to a lot of commentary movies of the 60s and 70s, and we can tell with a lot of his set designs and shots here, he wanted to play tribute to movies that took risks to commentary films of that era, with risque telling of that commentary. But by the time we get to the climax, I ended up thinking, was the journey worth what the destination was? And the answer is a near miss. Because for a 2-hour movie, it feels like the movie cares more about random insertions than it does to prove a point. And the message can be a powerful message. I'm not going to discredit Riley's message here because it is something that's at top of mind of a lot of us. And a powerful message should be one that draws people in and not get lost in translation of being completely abstract. I love abstract. I love unique. But it all needs to come together in the end. And here, it doesn't. The climax does kind of wrap it up, but it doesn't pull everything that we just witnessed together. But I Love Boosters, I can already tell, will be a movie that I will love in time. But I am now 2 viewings in, and my opinion has not changed. It has great performances, but the talent on screen never really has a moment to shine without having moments of interruption of the random humor being inserted to have these characters stretch their wings. I Love Boosters is an admirable attempt and a memorable attempt to get a commentary told, but it's so bloated on how it gets the message across, it becomes a mental overload on what we should be thinking. Boots Riley films are a matter of taste. I loved Sorry to Bother You, but this was that on steroids. But I will admit, I gave more chuckles than I did think, and I don't think that was Boots Riley's intent. I'm giving I Love Boosters 2.5 stars. Once a lonely bounty hunter, the Mandalorian and his apprentice Grogu embark on an exciting new Star Wars adventure in The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Hey, never touch the buttons. I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Gangsters. War criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for? Let's save the rest for after dinner.
The Mandalorian and Grogu come 7 years since the last Star Wars movie that ended up being a disaster that even Ron Howard couldn't save. Here comes an attempt at another Star Wars story based on the show. And, you know, if you take away the expectations of trying to follow the same tone and themes of Star Wars and take in what the movie is trying to do, you might have a good time with it. But if you go in expecting to see something that is going to re-energize the franchise, you will be greatly disappointed. The Mandalorian and Grogu has a lot going for it, as not a Star Wars movie, but a sci-fi adventure, a sci-fi action flick. And as the movie is going on and we get to the point where Sigourney Weaver is flying an X-Wing, feelings came over me in pure fun, pure comfort, and pure bliss to remind me that I haven't looked at what time it is, how much time is left. My eyes haven't left the screen. And I was actually entertained. The movie has a brisk pace up until kind of the end of the second act where it drags its feet, and the overly long climax that does throw the pacing off, where it felt it should have ended 15 to 20 minutes earlier, or even shorter. The simple story screams at a 90-minute to 1 hour and 45-minute mark. The movie does seem about 15-20 minutes long, where a simple story screams at a 90-minute to 1 hour and 45-minute mark, where we take our Mandalorian played by Brendan Wade and voiced by Pedro Pascal, and stunts done by Lateef Crowder, where him and Grogu are working with the rebellion led by Colonel Ward, played by Sigourney Weaver. Ward gives them a job to work with a couple of the Hutts called the Twins to locate their nephew Rada the Hutt, voiced by Jeremy Allen White, in which this voice is a little off-putting, given what we're used to with the Hutts. But Rada has been taken captive, and finding him will lead to an exchange for the location of a leader of the Empire. Now, here are two standouts that I don't know if they work, but I can appreciate the attempt. First is the attempt at practical effects and what even at times looks like a claymation to some of our alien creatures. At all its glorious cheekiness, it made me so happy and actually added to the fun factor with these nods to the original trilogy, with not adding the "oh my god, look who it is" or inserting forced cameos. But our writer-director, Jon Favreau, gives us something different to remind us of the original trilogy, and that is with its effects to even certain shots of his direction inserted throughout the movie to tell us, wait, I have seen this before. This feels familiar. Favreau does have some really smart direction here, and even writing to say, I'm not going to make a fan film, but I will ensure to remind the viewer why this movie exists. Even when we get introduced with some small creatures that are mechanics, yes, I know I'm gonna piss some Star Wars fans off by not knowing their name. Get over it. Where these creatures' motions reminded me of 1987's Munchies. And yes, I know I'm gonna piss a Star Wars fan off by comparing this to Munchies. Get over it. But Favreau almost plays tribute to the effects of the 80s just as much as he does in style with his direction. Now, the second standout that I don't know worked for me, and I'm sure with revisits I might change my decision, is the score by Academy Award winner composer from Sinners and Oppenheimer, Ludwig Göransson, who gives us some playful music, some exciting music, and even a little bit of melodic techno that doesn't seem to fit. That was almost too much out of character for the movie, that I had to do a mental reset. But also, the music throughout seems to run during most of the movie, where it feels like Favreau didn't have confidence to see what he was presenting by himself, to allow these characters to speak for themselves without the score. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but the fact that it feels like notes just being thrown at the screen, the memorable scores seem to get lost in the mix. And Favreau, I know, shows confidence in this film because he does something that I love, which is place some credits in the beginning of the film, in which, when Martin Scorsese's name popped up on screen, I couldn't help but smile. Now, The Mandalorian and Grogu, you don't necessarily have to watch the show to understand what's going on, and thank you to our writers Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Noah Clore for that. But fans of the show will get more of the same chemistry, along with the feeling that this is an amped-up-to-TV screen spectacle. And for a Star Wars movie, Favreau goes all in on telling a story that doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie, and in a way, that is refreshing. We don't get the wonderment, we don't get the imagination of different docile creatures. We actually get a lot of, dare I say, monsters. Another thing that's going to piss Star Wars fans off by calling them monsters. Get over it. There are a lot of creepiness to some of the scenes we are presented. That all against the cuteness of Grogu might frighten some small children. But in a way, I like this side of Star Wars storytelling, where it isn't just wonderment of the world, it's not cheering for your favorite Jedi, it's not good versus evil, or tragedy, or a space opera. It's a darker side that's not trying to teach a lesson, but rather just excite you. The Mandalorian and Grogu doesn't catapult the franchise, but damn, it was a lot of fun. A perfect way to kick off what is going to be a busy summer for theaters. Even with, I don't know if I would call them flaws just yet, but there is no doubt that this was a brave movie from Favreau to make, and the payoff is pure buttery popcorn entertainment. I'm giving The Mandalorian and Grogu 3 stars.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Now, before we get into the rest of the show, make sure you check out movies that just became available to rent, buy, or stream now.
Now available on video cassette.
It's Down to the Wire and Fuse that promises a good time but fizzles out halfway through the movie to receive 2 stars. Their Time Is Now, a cautionary tale in this retelling of Animal Farm, which my cautionary tale is not to ever watch this movie to receive 0 stars. Break up the role in the execution and over your dead body. That was driven by the fantastic ensemble of great performances to receive 3 stars. The galaxy awaits in this Super Mario sequel that wasn't that super, but rather just an Easter egg sugar rush in the Super Mario Galaxy movie that received 2 stars. What happened to Katie? And a take on The Mummy that made me want to go back to the Tom Cruise battling the mummy and Lee Cronin's The Mummy that received 2 stars. Small Town, Big Secret that shows that Bob Odenkirk is a breakout, unexpected action star. In Normal that taps into 90s fun of action films to receive 3.5 stars. Believe in Hail Mary that I believe was too long. I believe it looked great. I believe it was a good theater experience to receive 3 stars. Don't overlook any anomalies. Based on the video game comes Exit 8 for limited dialogue and based on a video game had a lot to say to receive 3 stars. Witness the wedding of the year and witness drama that doesn't stop after the reveal in The Drama that received 3.5 stars. New game, Fresh Blood, Double or Nothing, and Ready or Not 2 that didn't really add anything but subtracted the fun factor to receive 2 stars. Nature Can't Be Silenced in Disney Pixar's Hoppers that taps into all the emotions from heart to thrills for a perfect family adventure to receive 3.5 stars. Let Them Try in an admirable attempt at a survival thriller in They Will Kill You, but added nothing new to the table except moments of entertainment to receive 2.5 stars. Witches in Retail that mixes the craft and Mean Girls, and I was all for the witty dialogue that drove the entertainment factor in Forbidden Fruits that received 3 stars. Everyone deserves a second chance, except Reminders of Him that I never want a reminder of this movie to receive 1.5 stars. Be Afraid of the Silence because it wants to be heard in Undertone. That was an underwhelming paranormal experience to receive 2 stars. Elvis Presley like you've never seen before in Epic Elvis Presley in Concert. That was a refreshing experience on the King himself receiving 4 stars. Here Comes the Motherfucking Bride in The Bride that I actually wish had some better fucking things to say to receive 2.5 stars. Meet Your New Neighbor, He's Coming for You, but you will be okay if you just leave the theater or turn it off in Psycho Killer that received 1.5 stars. You're Never Too Small to Dream Big in the animated film Goat that actually was the GOAT to receive 3.5 stars. Meet Linda, she's from Strategy and Planning and she's the boss now in Sam Raimi's Send Help, which I'm glad I didn't need to call for help to receive 3 stars. Dream Big, Dream Bigger in Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie that I knew nothing about, but it's so dumb to be good to receive 3 stars. Flame Meets Fury and Avatar Fire and Ash, that again is one of those movies that's hard not to take to the experience of the visuals, music, and theater experience, but it won't be on my rewatch list. It's enough to give it a marginal 3 stars. Burn It All Down, and another entry to the Scream franchise comes Scream 7, which was simplistic, looked fantastic, but we are really running out of villain ideas here, guys. But still a fun time to receive 3 stars. Be With Me Always, Take Any Form, Drive Me Mad, which defines my review. You had me in the first act, then I asked it to be a different movie, and it ends with driving me mad with frustration and Wuthering Heights that received 2 stars. Sometimes heartbreak is the only beginning, with Kevin James being left at the altar in Solo Mio that hits all the right notes for a rom-com written by guys, and the movie makes that clear, receiving 2.5 stars. Their shift has hit the fan, and if it spreads, you're dead. In Cold Storage that teeters on the fun factor that never really gets there, receiving 2.5 stars. You're not prepared for what's about to go down, and I sure wasn't, and good luck, don't die, and have fun. That was, damn it, a lot of fun, receiving 3.5 stars. Revenge brings revelation in The Strangers Chapter 3. That should be a revelation to the filmmakers to stop fucking making these movies, receiving 1.5 stars. The future of criminal justice is artificial intelligence in Mercy, where we spend a couple of hours staring at Chris Pratt until we say, Lord have mercy, is it over, receiving 2.5 stars. Now, before I get into the last set of reviews, there is a podcast that's become one of my weekly listening routines to give me a mental break from the stresses of work, and that is with J&K over the Fuck My Work Life podcast. Make sure to follow and subscribe. The link to their show will be in the description of this episode. But let's hear from J&K over the Fuck My Work Life podcast now.
Have you ever had a bad day at work?
Well, the Fuck My Work Life podcast is perfect for you.
Host J&K share listeners' entertaining stories from the workplace, which may have you thinking you don't have it so bad after all.
Find Fuck My Work Life on your favorite podcast platform.
After a young couple witnesses a gruesome highway accident, they soon realize that they did not leave the crash scene alone. as a demonic presence called the Passenger won't stop until it claims them both in Passenger.
I saw these on the car last night. 3 scratches just like that.
You didn't stop, did you? It's something unholy.
Something's following us.
Saint Christopher, protect me today. All my travels. Give us your warning signs. If danger is near. Danger is near. Danger is near.
No one outruns a passenger.
You know, there is a lot of things one can do with this premise that I'm surprised hasn't been tapped into more frequently in film. Yes, we've had movies of seclusion. Yes, we've had movies of the open road. Yes, we've had scenes of all of the above. But a dark road, secluded, with the only thing between you and the outside is a section of glass. The car is as safe as a tent when it comes to being out in the middle of nowhere, where no one but an animal can hear you scream, where anything can jump out at any given moment, an animal, a person, or in this case, a paranormal being. Or a paranormal being that keys your fucking car with 3 lines on it to mark that you are going to die. This is where our couple, Tyler and Maddie, played by Jacob Scipio and Lou Yebel, a newly engaged couple who decide to live on the open road in a Mercedes van. They learn the hard way living on the open road that it's more than just let's drive and let's park. It's almost a religion and a way of life that we get subtle examples of this throughout the movie, that they learn this is harder than they thought. And this is one of the movie's flaws, is not inviting us into this world that is much more interesting than a demon that stalks a couple that we have seen 1,000 times over. After witnessing an accident, Tyler and Maddie are marked, if you will, to be the next victims of what the movie calls the passenger, who stalks and hunts the highway, with the rule of the road being don't stop and don't drive at night, or you will become prey. Now, the biggest strength of the movie is the direction by Andre Overdahl, from Troll Hunter's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and 2023's The Last Voyage of the Demeanor. Here, he does capture all the eeriness from driving on the open road with just your headlights as a tool. His direction is truly what makes this movie unsettling, because we have all been there, and some of us like it and some of us hate it, of being on the open road in the pitch dark with just our headlights guiding our way. And even if you like it, there is always an unsettling feeling at times where the idea of seclusion if something goes wrong. The best scenes of this movie always include 2 things: open roads and headlights, and 2, when other characters are introduced, because our 2 main leads, Tyler and Maddie, are fucking boring. They're cardboard cutout generic characters that hold no interest. There is a scene that I will be vague here not to spoil, where we have Tyler and Maddie at an RV type parking spot, and they are in a cliche moment that we have seen time and time again, where that one person they so happen to run into knows about this demon. They know how to stop the demon. We always have this character in a movie that we know is going to be generic, it's going to be cardboard cutout, and it's going to be formula, whatever. And this character starts to speak on how to stop this demon and the rules of the road. This character is well performed, she's interesting, but this is by comparison, because we know this character is generic, but compared to our 2 main leads, it's refreshing, it's familiar, we've seen it before, and she's going to be the saving grace, cross our fingers, to saving this movie. But this character is just like every other character of the movie. It's limited. And in this scene, this is where the direction is smart. We have the winds picking up, signaling danger, like a twister is about to attack the park. The scene, again, is cut short, not exploring the environment, not exploring the other character that's introduced. We get curious moments like this where we have big parking lots, we get well-lit gas stations, we have these safe havens, if you want to call them that. But the movie just treats it like plain take, and you have a safe zone. The movie doesn't do anything with it, where it's a perfect time to build the environment, to build stakes, to build characters. Passenger was written by Zachary Donahue and T.W. Burgess, who wrote a generic screenplay. And it is impressive that our director, Andre Overdal, can turn something so generic into an atmospheric piece of mild entertainment, where we do actually get some frightening shots, some white-knuckle engaging moments. But imagine what this movie could have been if we actually cared for our two main leads or understood them more on their relationship or motives. If we actually wanted to follow these two main characters for 90 minutes. We just get merely two characters stating they are on the road, they're engaged on the road now, and we throw them into different situational moments. That is at the helm of the direction that does a masterclass here to make these characters feel interesting. This is a film that tries to be folk horror, but doesn't have the credibility of the writing to make it feel like folk horror. We just have situation after situation while our director, Andre Overdal, says, "Hold my beer while I say this generic piece of crap." Passengers has the right tone, it has the right setting, it has the right direction, but it's missing on really tapping into the idea of urban legends and on-the-road folklore to truly make this scary, make this interesting. It needed more in-depth characters and more of a supporting cast to take this movie up a notch. When we have other characters introduced, even for a moment, they are a breath of fresh air because it's not our main characters. And that's the problem. Passengers is a well-directed movie. It's scary because of the smart direction, but if we look beyond that, the script and the characters and the performances are just meh. That screams generic. And if you really want a road scare, try picking up a hitchhiker in downtown Seattle at 2 a.m. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. I'm giving Passengers 2 stars.
Theaters to streaming seems too short. So that can only mean one thing. It's time for the movie Wire Catch.
When a woman crashes at an empty Italian villa posing as the owner's fiancé, she discovers an unexpected romance that can transform her life in You, Me, and Tuscany.
So let me get this straight. You mean some random rich white boy? He's Italian.
Salute.
So some random rich spicy white boy.
I'm Matteo.
And you think that that's a sign to fly to Italy tonight?
It's not about him. He doesn't even live there anymore. But he told me about his big old villa just sitting there.
Empty.
Don't come calling me from no Tuscan jail.
First time to Tuscany?
My first time pretty much anywhere. Hello? Who leaves an engagement ring in a junk drawer?
What are you doing here? Arresti questa donna!
This is all a really big misunderstanding.
Dio mio! She's marrying Matteo!
Yes! I'm marrying Matteo!
Congratulazioni!
What do?
You can pretend to be his fiancé, or you go to prison. Either way, it's very romantic.
Anna, this is Michael, my nephew.
I gotta get out of here. Oh!
Buongiorno. Gabriella wants to give you a tour of the vineyard.
Why?
Aren't you getting married there?
Oh. I used to dream of working in a place like this.
You're a chef. You belong here.
This was fun.
Okay, you pretended to be the white Italian man's fiance, but ended up catching feelings for the black Italian cousin brother? Oh, it's some Shonda Rhimes shit.
It's like you just suddenly turned up out of nowhere.
I gotta tell them the truth.
You got this.
Will your mama be coming?
I don't have
Una familia?
You do now. This is too much.
You deserve to live your life the way you want it.
Oh my God.
You can eat, pray, and love me, baby.
Mateo, what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? What are you doing here?
Romantic movies don't have to make sense. They can be far-fetched. They can go into the depths of emotion and imagination. Or is that called a fantasy film? For the sake of not imagining Frodo running with Gandalf through the great fields of Tuscany without shirts, we will just accept romance movies can dip their toes into unbelievability. Here we have Anna, played by Holly Bailey, who meets Mateo, played by Lorenzo de Moore, at a bar where he tells her about his empty house in Tuscany. Perfect thing to tell a stranger when you want to get him in the sack. And after a failed one-night stand, Anna decides to go on a trip to Tuscany. Why not? Where she breaks into Mateo's house. There, Mateo's family finds her, and now she pretends they are engaged to be married. And we throw in Mateo's brother, Michael, played by Reggie Jean Page, who we can feel sexual tension between Anna and Michael. And it's not even subtle. The guy rips off his shirt every chance he gets. But anyway. And with every romantic movie, this leads to family ties, friendships, and the big reveal at the end. This movie doesn't steer too far off course. The only difference is that the setting is absolutely beautiful. The movie almost fools us that this is actually a good movie, that the setting is the star of our show, not one of our characters wet ripping off his shirt at the exact right time to have an audience to say, oh. But you know, I recently said sports movie formulas rarely steer off course, and I guess romantic comedies mostly don't steer off course either. But it's about how much we buy into what they're throwing down and how much we engage with the situation and give us the oh moments. We don't get that here, and that's where the fault of the film is. The characters are not well written, they're not engaging, while the situation is absurd. And it's to be expected when the film was written by Ryan Eagle, writer of 2 Liam Neeson movies, Nonstop and The Commuter. And then we have him with Rampage and the 2022's Beast. I think I bought the relationship between Dwayne Johnson and his white gorilla George more believable in Rampage than we see the relationship here. You know, I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think it's safe to say when you can't really write action, why not try romantic comedies? And when you are proven you can't write romantic comedies, maybe go back to writing copy and pasted Liam Neeson screenplays. And again, I stated it before, the film's biggest strength is taking us into Tuscany. The movie is almost worth the trip based on the cinematography by Damon Rallman, and the decent direction from Kat Coro from 2022's Owen Wilson and J-Lo's rom-com Marry Me. I found myself staring around the screen at the environment more than the characters, to the point our characters were standing in front of something that looked pretty behind them, and I vocalized to the screen to ask them to move, waving my hands, hoping they would just move away so I can see the scenery. They never did. And you know your movie is struggling when you get disappointed at missing a certain shot because of those, you know, pesky characters that get away that tend to make noise or say things. You, Me, and Tuscany honestly feels like one of those movies that cares way more about looking beautiful than actually telling a good story. Sure, the scenery is gorgeous, vineyards, sunsets, cute little streets in Italy, but after a while, it starts to feel like you're watching a long tourism commercial instead of an actual movie with no real emotions or believable characters. The story is predictable from the start. You can basically guess every major moment before it happens. Someone goes to Tuscany to escape their problems, meeting charming locals, learns to live again, falls in love, and suddenly everything in life makes sense. It's the kind of plot that sounds comforting on paper, but the movie never does anything interesting with it. It just follows every cliche after cliche possible without adding anything fresh or memorable. You can take this formula, but have a goddamn good script and have chemistry and call it a day. The dialogue is one of the weakest parts. Nobody talks like a real person. Every conversation sounds overly dramatic or fake deep, or it's just like having a conversation with a stranger, like the writers were trying really hard to make everything sound meaningful, or just very subtle and generic. Characters are constantly saying things about finding yourself or embracing life, but it never feels natural. Instead of emotional moments hitting genuinely, they feel forced, kinda cheesy, which I'm okay with, but there's no balance to it. The romance also doesn't work. The movie keeps telling you the two leads have this amazing connection. They're trying to convince us by saying, I promise, believe us, this is sexual attraction. This is a romantic attraction. But it cares more about the physical aspects of this relationship than the emotional connection. There's barely any chemistry between these two. Most of their relationship is just walking around pretty locations. That's why the setting is a star, drinking wine and staring at each other while soft music plays in the background. That's supposed to convince us they're soulmates. I guess. It feels shallow because we never really see them connect in a believable way. No, part of a successful rom-com is the side characters. This is my biggest issue. And let's be real, if you don't have that formulaic feel-good side character in a rom-com, and you know, the one that's your best friend, the one that knows your secret, the one that cheers you on, if you don't have that one character, those good feelings go away. We have characters that attempt that, but they are just inserted with basic dialogue, basic lines. There is no chemistry. This is a movie with chemistry problems. We actually feel these characters are inserted with nothing to do. Yumi and Tuscany is an attempt at a romance fantasy, but wants to be a comedy, but it's not romantic nor funny. And now that I brought it up in the beginning, after thinking of the idea of Frodo and Gandalf walking shirtless through the wine vineyard, that kind of sounds like a better movie. I'm giving Yumi and Tuscany 2 stars. And that's a cut on this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your support. You can also show support by following me on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, Thread, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Letterboxd at Movie Wire Show. And please don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you haven't yet checked out the Cult-Worthy Cinema Podcast and the Movie Wire's crossover show, Back to the Balcony, make sure you do. Again, the link of that show will be in the description of this episode. Until next week, do me a favor. Make sure you stay for after the credits to show the respect to those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film and support your local movie theaters.
Thank you for bringing me to the movies.
Let the credits roll. We say farewell. Join us next time. We'll have more tales to tell.